Hi, I'm Brother Jensen. I've been called as a LDS early morning stake seminary teacher. So it's a voluntary position where we go and teach a bunch of high school students about the doctrines of the gospel. And for the past 3 years, I've been trying to use technology more in the classroom, and we feel like we've kind of got the hang of things to where it works well for our class. And I thought I'd post this video up on YouTube just because there's really not very many resources or many people explaining how they use technology in seminary, so I thought this might be helpful for some of you. So what I wanted to do is just kind of show how we use the Gospel Library app in our classroom, and how it works for us. We had about half and half. Half had Apple products, iPhones or iPads or whatever, and about half had Android. So I'll probably do, this is Android. This is on a Kindle. I'll have a link in the description of the video to the one where I did for Apple products, so that you can kind of see how both formats are. They're slightly different, but I mean, it's the same. So what we did, I know for a long time seminary teachers have been doing glue-ins where they cut out, little quotes of the prophets and then have you glue them into the scriptures. And a lot of people have seminary scriptures that then they either don't take on their mission or they lose or something happens. So this is how we've set it up in the Gospel Library app, so that it's in kind of if you sync it to your LDS account, which is really important, then you will have these quotes forever. They'll be in any digital scriptures that you have. Okay, so just to make sure that you can see this, in order to make sure you're logged in, this is here in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. This is the example I'm going to show you. If you come here and click on those three little bars up in the top, okay, these three little bars that are right here, you click on that, go down to settings, and then you can see, for me, it's under LDS account. LDS account, got my login name. And I've synced my library. This is important because if you don't have a My LDS account and have it synced to your device, you'll lose all of your quotations whenever you update the library. So this is important. You have to make sure that every student that is going to use electronic scriptures, make sure that their device is synced to their My LDS account. Okay. So what we've been doing is we've kind of had different quotes that we've added to the scriptures, and I'll kind of explain a little bit how we use it in our scripture study. So we kind of color code some stuff and include some stuff. So I wanted to show you how we do our quotes. So here in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, what I've done is I've taken all the quotes from the seminary manual, the seminary teacher's manual, and I've then added that to a Google Docs library. Now, for all the teachers, this may seem a little bit nervous to try and use this, but every single one of my students was using Google Docs or some form of Google Docs or Dropbox or something like that for school. So the students were able to just go, they had their own accounts, and I was able to share all the quotes for them, and then they were able to take it and copy it. So, for example, here in my Google Docs folder, I have this quote from President Monson that we're going to talk about in our class, okay? And it goes with 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 3 through 4. So all I have to do is, if I'm a student, I'm synced into this library, synced into these Google Docs sheets that have all the quotes, and all I have to do is I come and select the text, select the quote that I want, and then I copy it. And now I come back to my Gospel Library app, and it was for verses 3 through 4. Okay, now I've already got this marked from a previous study that I've wanted to do. But let's just go ahead and mark it how I would for seminary. So I've now marked it. It's going to be green. I can change the color up here if I wanted to do it a different color. But for our class, we used green as our general conference quotes. So we kind of color coded. Green is for general conference quotes. We had gray for more like the historical context quotes. We had yellow for some doctrines that were important. And then red was just personal insights that we liked. So that's how I would change my color. I could either change it to red, but I'm going to leave it green. And then this next next icon over, that's a note. So this is where I can then go in and paste my quote. Okay, this is a little bit slow, but it should come up. Okay, so now that's in there, and I've put in the quote. So now as I'm studying the scriptures, anytime I come in the future, this will be here. And all I have to do is simply click on the quote, and you can see here to the right, this shows that I have a note. Okay, so if I click on my note there, it brings up my sidebar that has all the footnotes and stuff. So now I've got, as I'm studying the scriptures, here's this quote from President Monson from the Ensign in May 2007, which then directly applies with this scripture. Okay, so this is going to be there as long as your account is synced to your MyLDS account, and it should be there forever. Now, I want you to notice, so this shows just this note, but if I access the footnotes for the chapter, you can see, okay, here's 1A, 1B, 2A. It actually includes the note right in my footnotes. So I have the footnotes for this. My quote is in my footnotes. So, and that's just really cool to have for these seminary students. There was a couple of my students were really, really excited about this, to have this, and they got after me if I didn't put up the quotes soon enough. So I got these quotes set up, and they were very diligent in putting them up. I did have some students that didn't want to do it. So for those, I would either print off the pages and let them, have that. I've put together a binder for those that didn't want to put the quotes in their scriptures, so they have those accessible. Or you could continue with the glue-ins or whatever you want to do. But this provides an opportunity for the students to have in their scriptures to really, really make it themselves. So for example, if I go down further, here's another quote. This was in verse 10. This is just red. Red I left kind of for the personal insights that people could add in. So again, as we go down the scriptures, you can see there's all these different sorts of markings, which meant different sorts of things. And you can come up with however you want for your classes. Actually, for our class, pink was Scripture Mastery. So verses 20 through 22, this is a Scripture Mastery from 1 Corinthians 15. And we marked those specifically so that we could have those all in one spot. And another thing that I want to show you here that's really cool is linking. Okay, so if I come here to my quote, or to my citation, you'll notice I had marked it both as pink, and I had also marked it as purple. So when I click on it, I get both ones, and I want to mark this as pink because it's a doctrinal mastery. Now, the first one was note. The first icon, whoops, I deselected it. The first icon is note. The second one here is tag. You can tag a scripture. So I want to tag this scripture as a certain thing because it's really good. I want to tag it with joy, or the plan of happiness, or resurrection, atonement, doctrinal mastery. I was able to enter all of those in, and now what I can do is, if I wanted to come to see all my tags, what I do, let's get this there. Okay, if I go to the drop-down menu to the library, this is the home page. I click on notes, and then I've got notebooks. This is where I've put some notes, and then I've got tags here, and I can go down to doctrinal mastery, and here in the New Testament, I have all of my doctrinal mastery scriptures. So this shows 1 Corinthians 15, 20 through 22, and it's right there. It even includes some of the quotes that I put for all these scriptures. So here's Ephesians 2, 19 through 20, and I've gone through and I've tagged all of my doctrinal mastery scriptures so that I have them all in one place with all the quotes, all my thoughts, all the things that I added on with these. So this is really cool and really powerful. It was able to, to have all these doctrinal mastery scriptures here. And I mean, the missionaries here in New Hampshire, they come with tablets to teach, and that's what they use. And I know the scripture or the doctrinal mastery verses were really important as a missionary to be able to understand. And now if I remember, okay, there's the doctrinal mastery. It was from the New Testament. I can go and find it right here, and I've got these quotes that I learned from seminary, and hopefully this will be really, really helpful for these missionaries that are coming in. Okay. So that's what we did there with not only the doctrinal mastery, but also, we went through and we tagged all the scriptures for Christ-like attributes. Let me show you this. So for example, I put a CA in front of it for Christ-like attribute, and let's just click on humble here. So now we go through, some of these are from my personal study, but a lot of them are as we were studying the New Testament. I can come here and see, Matthew 11:28, that shows when Christ was, teaching about how we need to be humble. Mark 1, Matthew 26. We've got all these scriptures that as a class we came and understood that this can help us understand how Christ was humble. It showed his Christ-like attributes. So that's kind of cool. So that's tags. Let's go back to, so we want to go to the New Testament. We were in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. So there's all my quotes. Green was for general conference. Red was kind of for personal insights. Pink was doctrinal mastery. This is just the color coding that we built for our class. Here's another general conference quote. We just click on there and you can see 29. Here's a quote from President Gordon B. Hinckley about temples and baptisms for the dead. So as we go down, I think I had one more. There's another kind of scripture or marking that we had. So in a lot of these, in a lot of the lessons, they have kind of some contextual information, some historical. It's not necessarily doctrine. It's just, hey, this is a cool thing that the Jews did back in the old days that help us understand the scriptures better. That color coding was gray. So I have here, kind of an explanation. I've left the source in here. It's the Seminary New Testament Manual, and it kind of talks about some of the historical context for these scriptures. So that's all right there. So that's very helpful as well. Good. So my class really enjoyed having the technology. Not all of them. There were a couple that still wanted to keep the paper and paper scriptures and stuff, and that it wasn't that big of a deal. Discipline and stuff, as long as you have a set amount of rules and are pretty strict to follow it, I really didn't have any issues or problems with kids texting or goofing off on their phones. Our simple rule was that your device had to be flat on the table as you were using it, and we were all, in our setup, we have about 10 kids in our class, so it's pretty easy for me to manage the class. For a larger class, that might be more difficult. And we were all sitting in a circle, to desks in a circle, so I was able to really see what everyone was doing. And the kids enjoyed it. I mean, to be able to show them how to use technology for good, and there was a lot of them that really embraced it, and some that didn't, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. If you have any other further questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. I'll see if I can help out with any of that. And then I was also going to make another movie kind of specifically geared towards the seminary students to kind of show them how to do it. Just in case you wanted to implement some of this stuff, you could have the video to show to your seminary students, and I could kind of explain it to help out there. Also, I'm going to make available my Google Docs folder that has all the quotes in them. So there will be a link to that in the description under the video. I've been very strict with these quotes. They are only from the seminary manuals. So I've got the New Testament ones that I'll be posting, and then I'll probably make ones I'll make ones for the Book of Mormon, and I'm just going to have quotes from the seminary manuals. I mean, there's tons of good quotes. You could add a lot of stuff, but I want to keep it pretty strict to what the church has published. So I'll have those available. All you have to do is click on the link, and you should be able to see those and use those. You can either use them for your class or change the format, whatever you want to do. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. And good luck with seminary. Seminary is a huge calling, but as you put forth the effort, as you work towards it, Christ will help you. And I've had very many fond memories in class, and had lots of fun learning the scriptures and learning all this stuff myself. All right, have a good day.